Welcome to the Appalachian Journey. This was an adventure. I called up my buddy Isaac way too late to expect a positive reply, but he was stoked to jump in this partners race with me. You have to have a partner for this race, so I chose Isaac. I've raced Isaac for a few gravel races. Know he's strong, but we had never really chatted too much. He showed up in Virginia the day before, had like quite a big drive. It all came together at the last minute, and this morning of the race we both showed up running on last minute time. So I didn't get the GPS route on my head unit in time, and he showed up to the start like a minute late. So we're scrambling. I don't see him anywhere. I don't have the GPS route on my head unit, and the partners race rules are such that if you're 5 minutes out of the time of your partner's finish, you get disqualified and your time is taken from your slowest partner. So those are the rules. Everybody's got a partner. We're doing the long doggy here, which is 100 miles, pretty long course. We'll go through that course in just a minute. But some guys, UNC guy here, and that's actually John Paul. Yeah, guys to look out for, plenty of them. Plenty that we had recognized, and I am still looking around for Isaac. I've made my way to like the front of this little group after starting like mid-ish pack, but yeah, we've got a good day of gravel ahead of us. I think it's like 70% gravel and 30% paved. Have not done the course. We didn't even look at the course beforehand, so I don't know when climbs are coming up or anything like that. Really spitballed this entire race and still have not found Isaac yet. So I'm getting a little nervous now. I'm like looking all around, but it's quite cold. I think the start was 32, 35 degrees. Here's the course, 70% gravel, nice rollers on the way out, but once you get about 60k in, 30, 40 miles in, there's a big old gravel climb with a little descent at the back, and then some more kind of rolly but quite steep terrain in there. Continues on, some climbs, and then one big one on the parkway that is much steadier. It's like 5%. And then pretty flat, a few more kickers into the end. Okay, I still don't know this because I did not get my GPS map on there, trying to fiddle with it, but finally we have Isaac arrive.
Ah, there you are. I was getting a little worried.
And I was getting a little worried.
So you should be warm.
Yeah, Isaac had to chase back on. He was like a minute late to the start, so was saying he should be warmed up. He did wear plenty of clothing, and I don't think he took anything off. Here he's telling me his gloves cannot press his Garmin. He's got such thick gloves on that he cannot hit the like start on his Garmin, which was hilarious. Came up to Kerry Werner here on his pretty new bike. Looking out for him. I think his partner might have had an issue or just taking it a little more chill. I know he had like a big mountain bike stage race this week. Later on, came into a few of these like gravel to pavement transitions one way or another. They're always a little bit wild, but this team up here in the orange, Clayton Travis is on that team. I know those guys can be pretty strong. We were all pretty cold at the start. Got a little warmed up about 45 minutes in. Ben Wright here. I had not done many races with his teammate Ryan, who I heard had done Croatan. I think that's the only race I may have ever done with Ryan. So unknown quantity, these two. I know Ben's super strong up climbs, but hoping that Ryan is less strong than me. Fingers crossed. But there were some weird tactics with or rather just splits with the partners racing. Like now he doesn't have a partner with him, Ben, but he wants to like keep riding hard because it's pretty cold. All of a sudden his partner, is going to show up. I wasn't sure if they were going to do like a tactic once we figured out that Ryan was better at going downhill than me or Isaac. Didn't know if they'd do the tactic of like sending Ryan on an attack and then have Ben catch him up a big climb. I think that could have worked really well, and we discussed it with them after, and they did have that tactic. This is another little weird incident where one of the guys, might have been Clayton or his teammate, yeah, you could just never tell what to do when like one guy would go off the front. You pretty much just don't worry about it. Later on, they did attack with both of them. Up a little climb here. I made sure that people were on my wheel and just did a little weld back, accelerate slowly to bring these guys back in, try and slow the effects of teammate racing early on here. It is cool to have a teammate with you, especially for like a longer race. You know, you're not going to be like suffering alone for too long. And you get to have a little journey together. I think we just had a deer, yeah, plenty of deer crossing in front of us. This whole area is so rural. Deer were everywhere, so keeping an eye out. Came through the first aid station, did not grab anything. There's a big gap between the second and the fourth aid station. There's like 50 miles. So we're all planning to stop on that like 30-mile aid station. Came into some gravel descending here. Ryan's on my wheel, and John Paul's teammate, who actually ended up losing both of his bottles, I guess, even before this point, which is it's a long race to do without any bottles. So they were gonna have to figure that out. And I don't even know if I'm sure he got bottles into the second feed. But coming on to, yeah, some paved parts, stuff like that. It was getting pretty hard and whittled down. You can see our groups maybe got 5 to 6 teams all together right now, and then yeah, it's kind of like shattered back behind the flow guys here, cheesing in the camera. We did get some sunshine, which was great. The night before, camped out nearby, and it sleeted on us while we were like making dinner a little bit farther into the race here. And it did split up over this little gravel climb, mainly on the descent there, and so it got really strung out on the pavement after, just trying to get everything back. Me looking back to make sure Isaac's there. He had told me he didn't want to descend super fast on the gravel, which I'm totally on board with, not losing any skin. So we were doing the best to just like keep everything welded together. It's a long race, just like keep our matches in the match books for as long as possible. And then finally, Ben and his teammate Ryan up this little climb made a move. Like, we just saw them distancing up there. I was hanging out near Isaac, just making sure I could see him, just not knowing how either one of us is going to climb on the day. And then Isaac and I started having a conversation, filling him in that Clayton and John Paul both don't have teammates up there. So I'm telling Isaac, like, yo, it's just those two guys and us that have teammates. Isaac's like, yeah, I know. And so Isaac brought us up to those guys, and we ended up riding with those guys for a while. Mason here, I think his teammate was done, and so he just decided to get a good workout in, so to speak, and hammer it pretty hard for the rest of the day, or at least as hard as he could, on a pretty cool NV bike as well. We continued climbing. You could still see these guys back there for a long time. Like, this is on the pavement section, maybe 5 minutes later after a lot of climbing. It's just the 5 of us now. So two partner teams, and I think Mason's just kind of hoping that his teammate's gonna get brought back up. But I never realized how close the other group still was to us at this point. You can see them back there. Yeah, still in reaching distance, and it's on pavement. There were a few more kickers, so they undoubtedly just kept the pace off. This is like 90 minutes, 2 hours into the race, so they're, yeah, definitely saving their energy. It's already been kind of a hard race up to this point. We were not slouching on any of the climbs, but there are plenty of dudes back there, so 5 of us have got to keep the pressure on, and we did. We rolled together pretty well. A lot of this in between that big climb and the next few kickers were really just about like us keeping the pace on. It felt mostly paved. There was obviously some gravel stuff, but Ben here in the rear cam, everybody was rolling through pretty well. It's weird having like partners, yeah, just not knowing how to race in that fashion where like your lowest common denominator, your weakest link in the chain is the one you've got to look out for. And then, yeah, just like wondering what Mason was going to do there. On these descents, Ryan would kind of string it out here. And this is the biggest worry I had for the whole day, was if Isaac got strung behind Ben on a descent, or like, I mean, Isaac didn't want to go faster than Ben anyway. Ben has gotten a lot faster at descending. It's usually been like a limiter that I've known of his, but I mean, this time he was keeping up like totally fine. So this was a concern if like Ryan sent an attack on a downhill into a climb and we got a gap on them, and then I know Ben can outclimb almost anyone. So if Ben had like bridged up to us and Isaac was back there, that could have been an absolute issue. We came to a climb a little bit later. This isn't the one, but this is very close to what it looked like. And Ben started hitting it pretty hard. It was Ben here and then Mason. Yeah, this climb in there. Gravel climb and then a little gravel descent after. It was Ben just like keeping the pace pretty high. We weren't doing crazy watts, like 400 for 5 minutes maybe. Deep into the ride, and then Isaac noticed that Ryan was cracking. He hit it around him, and then we sent that descent harder than any descent we had sent the whole time. Just Isaac decided it was time to go, and so we went. We kept rolling together. Mason stayed with us, rolling on the parkway, and yeah, we just kept it burning. Ended up pulling some good time out on everybody else, but we're still pretty scared. Gravel racing, you never get time gaps, so you're just running. You're just running the whole time from something you can't see and you don't know how far back it is. You keep looking over your shoulder, and this part is where it gets scary because I know Ben can ride pretty hard, but how grippy this road is, it's going to depend on whether or not he can get his teammate back, whether his teammate recovers, whether Isaac or I crack. So a lot of things that I have not encountered in races many times. So trying to keep the pace up, doing a little super tucking on the parkway, trying to keep speed, keeping it at tempo. We had plenty of time left. The parkway climb was pretty big, and I kept checking in with Isaac, like, what's the next climb we got coming up? Because my head unit would just like zoom all the way out, so it would show me like a giant climb. Super worried. Eventually Mason cracked, and we, Isaac and I, rolled into the finished the Appalachian Journey. We had like 10 minutes to Ben and Ryan, the next group, and then I think another 5 to 8 minutes to the next group. The finish, people didn't exactly know what we had finished, but they were like super stoked, and we got like the standard treatment, which I think is awesome at a gravel race. Like, nobody really cares what you did. Like, everybody got the journey, which was exactly what we got from this race. You're just all on the same level, riding the same course. I am a coach with Evoke. Come check us out at evoke.bike. Yeah, thanks for watching.